Welcome everyone to Twitch and Nitro Circus. We are here for more fantastic action for the Nitro Circus Sports Car Challenge presented by Penguin RC. I am Chad Irvine, and we're going to start things off tonight with a look back to last week's action at the American Stroke Association Grand Prix from Brands Hatch. Then we'll bring you all the exciting action from tonight's race at Summit Point Raceway.
Infancy talks.
I don't think you used the word "very" enough there.
No, I didn't.
Want to add one
So
more?
maybe we'll keep you posted there. But NASADiscord.tk to join the NASA Discord, and I know there's a Nitro Circus link floating around in chat for everyone who is interested. And also for the ASN On Demand viewers, we'll post it in the description as well. As apparently we're getting thousands of viewers after the fact, which blows my mind.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for watching this right now. We love you. Come show up live so we're not embarrassing ourselves and such. We want to embarrass ourselves on a larger audience.
I would like that. Yes.
Yeah. But honestly, we're so happy with what we've gotten so far. We want to thank Nitro Circus for everything they've been doing for us. I mean, we wouldn't be here without them. I mean, and we just want to thank you guys for showing up.
Absolutely, and we're gonna go ahead and jump right back to some track action here. We got Peter Houston and Michael Janney going at it, going down into turn number 1, whatever that's called. You guys know the name. I don't, and so I'll let you guys talk.
Paddock Hill Bend into Druids. Houston holding off Janney. Janney trying to get back to a podium place after coming together with Kieran Forrest a couple minutes ago. Daniel Munoz continuing his Sunday drive. He's confused because it's Monday. He should have done this yesterday. He is 22.749 technically, 23 seconds ahead of Kieran Forrest in the 44. I don't know what else I could say about this drive from Munoz other than unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think there's no other word to say but impressive. Just an absolute clinic that's been put on here. I mean, one of our guys we didn't really expect to be that much of a standout, but hey, that's the nature of racing. Sometimes the guys you don't expect are the guys who do the best.
As Brian Stone has fallen out of the server, we're going to focus here on Janney and Houston. Janney got a much better run, but he had to back off the throttle to avoid running into Houston in car number 4 through Clark Curve, back out onto the Brabham straightaway. And this is a track that obviously you don't need a big, tight chicane for. The undulation and the sweeping corners is all you need for a wonderful racing circuit.
But let's not distract that from the fact that they did have a chicane there for a while, and it kind of sucked.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm legit. I'm serious. I think it's where Westfield is. No, wait, where Sheen Curve is now. There used to be a chicane.
I'm going to prove this right now, actually. As we look at Brands Hatch, not too...
It's Dingle Dell Corner.
Oh, they did have a chicane.
Yes.
I had no idea. We're learning together. That's kind of dumb, in my opinion.
Right? Yeah, it's okay.
But alas, here we are. Janney's still trying to find his way around. He was a 10th down on Houston that last lap. Not missing anything again up front. 123 flat against Kieran, who ran a 124 flat. So the gap has increased yet again. Janney trying so hard, Mike, to get past Houston, but he can't get it done.
Yeah, I think Janney might be able to do something. Look at the aggressive blocking that Houston's doing. He's not by any means giving up. And I
wouldn't even call it blocking. He's placing his car in a very strategic position. Clark Curve once again.
And a quick shout out to all my TNT guys watching. That's a pre-bizzle right there.
Down Cooper Straight, we look at Daniel Munoz. I believe he will be coming to the white flag here in Brands Hatch next time around. And what an event that he has put on against this field.
That he has, Josh, and just a little thought here is if he was a little bit slower, it would have been the white flag this lap. So he has gone so fast that we've gotten an extra lap of what I believe was projected here. Because it was 32 laps projected, and now we've gone to 33.
As usually they don't want to hit that lap count, because then the race will end. But we have 40 seconds left, so once he crosses that line and time expires, that makes it the white flag. It is not like Supercross inside Janney on. Houston can't get it done. You're not missing anything up front as we pay attention there.
Oh,
Rawls
there's
off the
just
road.
Rawls.
White flag for Munoz in the 07.
Fortunate for Rawls there. He was having a great run. I mean, wasn't exactly he was on track to take the points point there. Yeah.
Janney to the inside, down clearways, into Clark curve, coming to the white flag, and he still can't get it done.
Houston didn't get a great exit there, but he's going to get the run, I guess. I don't know. That's
in the Brabham straight. We're going to have 1 lap to go to settle this, and this is for a podium place for our points leader, Michael Janney, ahead of Peter Houston, the man who has had horrid luck in the last opening.
There he shoots the inside the Druids.
Inside, very slow, but Houston's going to have the outside to get the run off the corner.
I don't want to say it too early, but that may have been the race. How did you know?
Still got half a lap, and we know how quick Janney is going down Pilgrim's Drop into Hawthorne.
There you go. He's
We
going
will
to go
see
wide.
what will happen here.
Tucking it in there as they come down the straightaway into Pilgrim's Drop.
As we focus on the battle for the 3rd spot on the podium, but we go up front to Daniel Munoz, unbelievably 25 seconds ahead of Kieran Forrest.
He's going to win it. He's
Sequential
celebrating
Simsport
right now.
will win.
He's
in
celebrating
Brands
the
Hatch.
battle. We're going to move back to the battle for 3rd here. Oh, he's right at the bumper. He's going to send it. Maybe no.
1 corner left.
Oh, he's got to run.
From Janney off the corner,
There he is,
down
outside.
clearways, 1 final time. If I was a spotter, I'd say he's at your bumper. He's got 1 corner left. Deep on the brakes is Janney. Can
Oh
he
my
get it
God,
done?
we're going
Clark's
side
curve,
by side in the
no.
line here.
They're going to be side by side
It's
off the
still-
corner here, gentlemen. Down the Brabham straightaway. Can Houston hold him off at the line?
Oh,
Yes.
he got it.
He finishes 3rd on the podium.
What?
And you know what? I didn't realize this. The front end damage on Janney probably hindered him.
Yeah, I think if he'd been able to move to the inside there on that last corner, he would have maybe gotten them. It's just what a battle we had there for 3rd.
As we look
Seth
at
Rawls,
this battle,
Ferrari,
Fanning and Rawls. This is battle for 9th overall.
I think that Ferrari's got it. We know it's got the better top end speed. That Mercedes just is.
We hope you enjoyed that special presentation of last week's finish to the American Stroke Association Grand Prix from Brands Hatch. But we are here on ASN as well as Nitro Circus here on Twitch. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Of course, I am, once again, Chad Irvine, and here with me, as always, is going to be Mike Barry. Charlie, of course, is hanging out in Twitch land and qualifying just about wrapping up for these guys, it looks like. Charlie, what's going on over in Twitch world?
Real quick, just want to start out with big thanks to Smooth One for the 400 bits. Way to kick off the stream with the support. Much appreciated, guys. Twitch land is just starting to heat up. People are filing in, getting ready for these races. I got a chance to chat with all 3 podium winners, from last week, and all 3 of them kind of agreed that you got to watch out for the usual suspects on these tracks, or on this track today. But then they all also pointed out that this track is a tricky one in terms of ways to pass, ways to get yourself into trouble, and they all predict that the people who are going to finish on the podium tonight are going to be the ones who do just that: stay out of trouble and keep the lines clean and the racing smooth.
Yeah, it's a very fast track, a very technical track with a couple of very tight hairpins as well. But so far through qualifying, looks like just about everybody has turned in all of their qualifying laps. Michael Janney right now sits on the pole, but they still have 50 seconds to work that down. It's been an interesting season so far. Just kind of looking at results. As of late, there's a look at our Drivers' Championship standings. Michael Janney, of course, with a 16-point lead over Christian Challoner. And Challoner, he actually had to miss a race a couple of weeks ago due to some iRacing obligations elsewhere. Dana Munoz, of course, in 3rd place. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he is serving a 1-race suspension for safety point accumulation. Ray Kingsbury sits in 4th, just 46 points back, and 2 points behind him is Kieran the Big Dog Forrest. He is in 5th place, 48 points off of Michael Janney's lead. Then you got David Bush, Kevin Fanning, Seth Rawls, Nicholas Labish and Josh Klog wrapping up the top 10 over in the Drivers' Championship. Looks like over in the AM Championship as well, Kieran Forrest leads that one. Is he in both the pro, and the AM? Anyway, it's Kieran Forrest at the top of the AM Championship, followed by David Bush and Kevin Fanning and Seth Rawls. Taylor Carroll, 22 points back in 5th place. Then Brokaw, Brian Sohn, Brandon Lambert, Marwan Mafta, and Steve Lane, the top 10. Looks like we're taking to the grid here, and we're going to have one full pace lap. Plenty of time to go through our order. There's the team championship with Fiercely Forward, SVR in lead with 212 points, 62 points back, a commanding lead over MPR/Spark, 62 points back. Then another MPR Spark team, 78 points back, followed by Sequential Sim Academy, wrapping up the team's championship standings there. But we're getting set. All the drivers starting to grid in, just waiting on a couple more guys. We'll go through your, well, actually, first we'll take a look at the weather. 81 degrees, the ambient track temp 112, so decently hot, pretty slick out there with the high track temperature. Winds out of the west at 5 miles, gusting up to 6 now, and humidity at 31%. Gonna make things a fun and interesting race for sure. But now let's go ahead, finally, as we start to get things rolling here, take a look through our grid with Michael Janney sitting on the pole with a qualifying time of 1 minute 8.326. Christian Challoner not too far off, less than half a tenth a second off there. He turned in a 108.375. Josh Klog and Peter Houston on row number 2. Then David Schofield and Taylor Carroll. David Bush and Ray Kingsbury on row number 4, followed by Kevin Fanning and Harley Moss wrapping up your top 10. I know Harley was pretty excited for this race. Marwan Mafta starts 11th, followed by Christopher Hickman and Seth Rawls. Brian San, Steve Lane, then Kieran Forrest, Tim Brokaw, Robbie Lareal, and Josiah Wellwood wrapping up the field here. So not the biggest field that we've had. It's been a decently small field the last couple of weeks, but we'd love to see more and more drivers. We're always recruiting and always adding more spots in here. So join us in the Discord if we can get that command up in there, and always looking for more and more drivers to join us here in the Penguin RC Sports Car Series presented by Nitro Circus. Definitely a fun one to participate in for sure. Get to race against some really good drivers like Michael Janney and Christian Challoner as we work our way down the back. Yeah, Mike, join us for the first time here tonight, man. How's it going?
Yeah, you don't like to stop talking, do you? Anyway,
that's what they pay me the big bucks
for.
Let's
take a minute just to quickly talk about this track. I mean, it's a Summit Point Raceway down in Virginia. 10 turns along the main circuit, and you see them right now. It's going to be a real tough one. It's such a natural track, about three cars wide, so you're going to see some struggling to find any inch of track, and then this hairpin section that they're coming up to right now. I mean, that's the real crown jewel of the track, I'd say. 2 basically hairpins back to back, really setting up for some great passing opportunities, Chad.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fun one to watch. A very fast and flowing track, 2 very long straightaways, and then a third one that has a little bit of a kink to it down the back. Definitely going to be some fun action. Only one more corner here to go. You can kind of see the elevation change. They crest this hill here and start heading down to the 10th and final turn. So some of the elevation changes are very gradual. Some of them are very rapid or very steep, I guess. Pace car getting set to pull away here. And we are going through the final corner here as Michael Janney away takes the green flag and gets a great jump on Christian Challoner. There's still 2 wide between 3rd and 4th, Klog and Houston there. It's going to be Josh Klog in the 199, that yellow car. Yellow and black with Peter Houston to the outside. Still 1 and 2 single file further on back. They're battling pretty hard as well, but still side by side up front.
Going side by side there, Jeff. We see them right now. They're all getting single file coming through that hairpin, coming down this we'll call it the back straightaway up into the uphill, almost like mini Eau Rouge, I like to call it.
Yeah, about the first 13 cars or so single file. The entire field right now is single file. That's something we don't see very often. Very clean start, and we'd love to see that kind of racing here as they work their way up the hill now and through this very tight and technical part of the track.
Yeah, you see them now coming through the double hairpins. We're looking right now at the battle for the lead still, and coming through these mini S's here. It's 2 corners here. It's a really tough corner there, coming off onto the, I guess what really is the back straight. Let's see, can Challenger get the run coming into the final corner?
He's going to have the slipstream, but can't get it done through turn number 10. Leading lap number 1 here. It's a 15-minute sprint race, and Janney has lap number 1 in the bag. Have to see if he can hold on to it, though, because Challenger's peeking to the outside. Very defensive. I'll have to see if Janney can't hold his momentum there. Challenger sweeping around the outside. Who can get back on the throttle first? It looks like it's Janney. It's pretty bumpy there on the inside, but he does get back. And Christian Challenger trying the crossover move. Can't do it there either.
Yeah, and coming up the hill again now. You see Janney holding on there. What? You got to keep an eye out on that gravel trap there, though. That will catch you out in a hurry. See, almost, it's at the, what's at the 6th? Kevin Fanning there, almost going into, able to, correct himself there. Now we're coming through the hairpin. Ooh, that's super tight there.
And all of this battling is doing is opening the door for Houston and Clog to catch right back up. See if we can't take a look further back in the field. The number 41 of Christopher Hickman. He is getting hounded by Marwan Mafta right now, all over the back bumper in that Mercedes. It's actually Seth Rawls that has gotten by Mafta, so he is showing a ton of pace so far. Yes, looks like Mafta has gotten by, but Hickman just doing a great job defending. Have to see if he can't hold on as they get back single file. Mafta started 11th, and it looks like he's
guy off track
10th
right
now.
there. I saw him in the back on my feed there. It looks like one of the Lamborghinis.
Looks like it might have been Harley Moss. He's dropping well down the stands. He gets it back rolling, but a ton of damage his left front. We'll have to see how much that impacts him. Let's see if we can't possibly get a replay of that. Yeah, he just looks like he went wide here. Just missed that break point. He's slightly downhill, upsets the car, and just ran wide. It's not the sharpest of turns on exit, but just once he lost it there going through the gravel, can he say it? Absolutely not. Into the tires, then up onto the hill. Those marshals, maybe a little too calm if I was in their shoes, but he's able to get things rolling the right direction. Have to see what that does as he's now down to the back of the field.
Yeah, I know those marshals are... Oh, big wreck there. Look at that.
Seth Rawls from the middle of the pack as well. He's getting things going. We were just talking about him hounding Hickman, but unfortunately not able to keep things on track there himself. Little upsetting the car there. Oh, there's contact. Was that Son? Or Son? Son was collected there as well. Yeah, Son got absolutely turned by, was that maybe...
I think maybe Hickman, or... No, it might have been David Bush. No, David Bush tried to third. Yeah, I think it was Hickman.
I think it was Hickman in there in that blue car. That's definitely Hickman. And then just plowing into the back and nowhere for anybody to go. Just the accordion effect has been incredible. We have a pass for the lead. Christian Challenger gets around Michael Janney. And there's still all three of these guys with Janney, Houston, and Challenger nose to tail as they come up the hill and going into this double hairpin section.
Yeah, I mean, great move by Christian Challenger. Hopefully we can get a replay of it. Maybe eventually. I mean, right now we're kind of going to focus on the battle. Here we actually are getting it here. You see him going to the outside in that hairpin, one of the best passing zones. I mean, you can make 2 lanes work there. It's tough. You
and
kind of
Janney on the Janney on the curb, not able to hold it, but the front straightaway is so long. If you're in the slipstream range, you can definitely set up a move by the end of it. And these 3 cars right behind them, they have a decent 4-car train as well between Clog, Carroll, Kingsbury, and Schofield. So those 4 guys as well battling pretty hard. So the top 7, I mean, there's about a 1.5-second gap between Houston and Clog. But, I mean, everybody is just right there waiting for somebody else to make a mistake and see what they can't do in the slipstream of everybody else around them.
Now, let's point out real quick, Clog was having a bit of trouble in practice here. If I'm looking at the results, he wasn't too far off. He was, having some trouble, but he was about, still 3rd in practice ahead of Christian. Christian Challenger actually is the real surprise here, coming up from 4th in practice to get into 2nd. Now he's running up in the lead. So, I mean, that's just an improvement. Just shows how talented of he is to adapting to tracks.
And Michael Janney right now just being absolutely hounded by Peter Houston. I think he might be driving more out of his mirror than he is his windshield. He's lost a bunch of time, about half a second at the line between Challenger and Janney. But Houston's right there, especially in the slower corners. It looks like Houston might be running a little more downforce with where he's gaining all of his time, because you can definitely see Michael Janney just right there, losing a ton of time down the straights, and they're going to gain it right back. But it's just, this is one of those tracks where the corners are so slow, but the straights are so long. It's really a huge trade-off between high and low downforce.
Yeah, I don't think it's any mistake calling this track a driver's track right now, as we're seeing all these guys just basically fighting the track more than the car. It's so tight, so technical.
It's okay, guys.
Also, you gotta watch those curbs. These are old-style curbs.
And you see Christian Chandler, they're kicking up some dirt, just maybe a little too aggressive on that curve and on that curbing. But still, the battle for second, very, very intense.
Indeed. I mean, I think there's only one or two flat curbs on this track. You see that right there as Christian Chandler went right past it. That one's very tough to get right there.
And something has happened to Ray Kingsbury. He's lost a bunch of spots. We saw him earlier right in that train, about 7th position. Lost 2 spots, and now he's trying to catch back up. He's right in the back bumper of Christopher Hickman once again. Oh yeah, he definitely lost the back end there. That's on the final corner. Able to keep it out of the wall, but that's the exact opposite that what we saw.
We got second place change. Peter Houston side by side with Michael Janney. Wasn't quite able to make it work, but he had the advantage going into one there.
Yeah, so you saw Kingsbury lose the back end there, the opposite of what happened to Harley Moss a couple of laps ago. Something has happened to Kieran Forrest as well. I just noticed he has retired from the race. He is 3 laps down. Unfortunate for him, as he's been putting on some decent performances as of late. And Very lose a big wiggle there out of Michael Janney, clipping a little too much of the curbing, and Peter Houston is just right there.
Yeah, sitting right on the diffuser there as they come through the S's. Can Houston maybe make the move? We hadn't really thought of him much as a contender. I mean, especially when we've been talking about the big 3 of Janney, Challoner, and Nicholas Walbish. But, like, yeah, this is impressive for Houston. I think he could be showing that he could potentially be a championship contender, especially after Challoner and Walbish's woes in the last couple of weeks, or missing a week. Call it a woe.
And yeah, Peter Houston though using all the track. You see him losing so much ground down the straightaway. He was right on the back bumper of Michael Janney coming out of that hairpin about turn number 7. But now down the straightaway, he loses about 5 car lengths, and then you'll see him as they come through some of these tighter corners, some of the more technical sections. He definitely catches right back up, and by the time that they get through turn number 5 and 6, he's going to be right there once again.
Indeed he is.
This is further back in the pack. That's Kingsbury and Hickman. Talking about them just a little bit ago. Kingsbury has shown speed all season long. Currently, I believe, in the top 5 in the Pro Drivers Championship. So it's better, or in the overall championship, and doing his best just to hold on to his position. If he can move up a couple more spots, Kevin Fanning right now. He's not first. Too aggressive for Ray Kingsbury, and he's going to lose even more spots. I was just talking about if he can get up to Kevin Fanning, who's currently running in 8th place, he'll get that inversion. But unfortunately, it looks like that has gone out the window. Under 5 minutes to go right now, as we got some intense battles all throughout the field.
I mean, I'm still looking at that battle for a second right now. It's kind of cooled down a little bit. I mean, I saw Peter Houston there take a super deep dive.
This is Kevin Fanning with David Bush right in front of him. These Matco Tools cars always looking very, very nice, very clean, and just great cars to watch race. We saw them debut last season, and they're back out there once again. They switched from the Ford to their Ferraris, and if we can get a close-up there, they have a really interesting logo on the back left corner, or on the back corners of the car. That's a beautiful little logo there for one guy that we see in the chat all the time, Mr. Cubecast. Shout out to him for, getting represented by some of these drivers out here. That's some great promotion.
Where did he say he was from again? I know.
He's Charlie can go back and check. He's the one over in Twitchland. I believe Burkina Faso was it tonight?
Burkina Faso.
A man of many passports.
Oh, a teleportation machine can do wonders. And it looks like we're having the leaders now catch some lapped traffic. Christian Challoner
Yeah, that's
right
something-
on Josiah Wellwood.
Yeah, and that's something we really haven't seen much of this season ever since we moved away from the single class. And you see Gianni going way off track there. Peter Houston kind of followed him through. But as I was saying, it's like ever since we moved to single class, you don't see many lapped cars. We already have guys 30 seconds down. I mean, we're going to see some serious lap traffic this race, even with the small fields we have.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting watching the times roll in through qualifying, but Christian Challoner out in front, still followed by Janney and Houston, then Clog in fourth, and Taylor Carroll wrapping up the top 5. But Carroll being hounded pretty good by Schofield right now. That's the battle for the 5th position, and this is even further back. That's the 67 of Tim Brokaw right behind his teammate of Steve Lane. That's Ray Kingsbury and Marwan Moff, the 2 teammates there as well. Both of them battling hard. And there's another car off. That was Robbie Lareal. He was already a lap down, so he has just been struggling. I think he's just going to end up parking. He's got a ton of damage to the front end of that car, as he's got some faster traffic up in front of him. He pulls off to the side, and now he's off in the grass, and yep, he's just pulling into the pits. That's going to be the end of his sprint race. Under 2 minutes now, as this is still a very fun train of cars to watch. Defensive line from Steve Lane. Kingsbury sending it up the inside.
Yeah, what an aggressive move that was. I mean, definitely pays off though, as he gets not quite clear of him, but he does have that switcher. I think he might be able to get him coming up the hill though, but no, he's not. That Ferrari just has a bit more. Oh, no, he got it.
There he's finally clear as Kingsbury. Now he's got the next car to look at is Steve Lane. Marwan Mafta right there as well. This track very bumpy. You can see how the cars react to it, and that's one of those things that's hard to get right with these cars is how they handle over some of these bumps, because you don't want to lose too much time for them bottoming, but at the same time, you know, you don't want that in the air and lose all that ground effect. So still in this lane, that's Kingsbury, the second one in line right behind Steve Lane. And then it's Brokaw and Mofta, the other 2 cars involved there. And that battle for that final spot in this line between Mofta and now Brokaw, very interesting. We're going to have to see if Mofta's going to get close enough to peek up the inside. Defensive line from basically everybody using all of the slipstream. Now Kingsbury going to peek out. He's going to peek to the outside. We've seen this move happen before. Challoner pulling it off earlier in the race. He's going to hold it there, but can he keep it? A little bit wide was Kingsbury, but not able to get clear. So Steve Lane holds that position, but another great run off the corner from Kingsbury.
I think he's going to hold back here. You know, I think the best place to pass here is coming into the first hairpin here, or the second real hairpin.
This is the final lap. Leaders have one more corner to go, and it's going to be Christian Challoner by about a second coming in through the final corner. And that is the checkered flag, with Christian Challoner taking the win here in the sprint race, followed by Janney and Houston. Clog Sally in the 4th position. Taylor Carroll holding on for dear life, and he's going to get that position. Then Schofield and Bush being hounded by Fanning, but it's going to be Bush, then Fanning. Hickman, after some trouble earlier in the race, going to take the 9th position. And way off behind. Was that Marwan Mofta? No, that was Tim Brokaw. Brokaw was defending very hard there, and I'll have to see if we can't get a replay of that one, but that was an incredible finish.
And there you see Barney right there, waving that flag. Yeah. Barney's got the interdimensional flag right there.
There you see everybody just crossing the line. Got a little bit of a warm-up here for the drivers. Let's take a minute, just kind of take things easy for now. Charlie, what's going on over in Twitchland?
We got Smooth One just took over the top most bits spent on the channel. Smooth One with 1,100 more bits, giving him over 10,000 gifted and number 1 spot overall. Nice job there. And then Teal 72, 15-month tier 1 resub. Thank you so much for all the support. Of course, Trevor Teal is the top sub gifter in our channel. 139 subs gifted. So awesome support from those guys. Thank you so much. Real quick, guys, I learned Tim Brokaw is the one who makes those Matco liveries, so shout out to him for that. The ones you guys were talking about earlier on the Ferraris. Speaking of that, Peter Houston, when I talked to him about predictions for this race, he actually predicted those Ferraris driving real fast on this track and foresees them doing real well overall in this competition. But the big surprise, I think, is how well he did. Even for him, maybe he was trying to reverse jinx himself, but he predicted he wasn't going to do so super hot tonight, and so far he's already showing that's not going to be the case. So it'll be interesting to watch him as this progresses.
And does Twitch have any predictions so far for tonight's feature race? It's going to be interesting for sure with how the inversion works out.
Well, we had Smooth One in here rooting for Robbie Luril, who did not have a great sprint race, but you hear him chat. Let us know who you think is taking this one home. I'll get back to you on the next one, guys.
Sounds good. Appreciate everything that you do, Charlie, and everybody watching out there in Twitchland from all over the globe. We've got, I guess, viewers in Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso and basically everywhere, pretty much. But definitely fun to watch these guys. It looks like Peter Houston. He's talking about the fuel calculations being off for what he was using to calculate fuel. Going to be interesting. You know, that's one of those things. The laps here are very, very short. The lap time's starting to come in here from the warm up, and in the race. A minute 8 was a lap time here, so we're going to see about, I think, what's that going to be, 35-ish laps? Maybe, I'm bad at math, but yeah, so about 40, maybe 40 laps. We'll go with that. 40 laps estimate for the feature. We can update you with that later on if that happens to change. Well, that's one of those things that definitely makes things interesting. It looks like, talking from Josiah Wellwood, as he's out there practicing, he accidentally applied the wrong paint to his car. That is the iRacing default blue with the correct skin kit, the correct decals for the league on it. But I think it looks pretty darn good. I mean, that's just a clean color, especially on the BMW. Definitely, looks just fantastic. As we see him unfortunately get into the wall there, but that's what the warm-up is for. It's all about testing out the car in these different positions, and man, definitely gonna be fun to watch. Let's see. Yeah, so right now through warm-up, Josh Claw, you see him at the top of the timing charts, and these fiercely forward cars just looks so clean, so fresh with their black and yellow lightning bolt. Are they paint jobs or liveries in touring cars? You guys should let me know that, because I don't know. I'm not really sure what they are.
I've never known the difference between those two terms, actually. So someone teach me. I'm new. I'm new to racing, basically. So what's livery paint?
I've always heard livery in reference to open wheel cars, and I've heard paint job in referred to stock cars. But I don't know.
Interesting. I do think livery comes from like horses or something. Isn't that the origin of the word? So maybe there's something to that. The open air. Maybe it has to do with how much horsepower you have. This is making no sense. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing.
You know what? I think that our good friend Google will help us. The first thing is a special uniform worn by a servant. I don't think that's the correct definition. Number 2 is short for livery stable. So definitely you get the horse thing right there. But it looks like we're going to be joined here for a moment by Ray Kingsbury. Ray, what's going on your end?
Not too much, Chad. We just spun a couple times there. I could have done a little better. Weird points.
Yeah, it looked like you were pushing pretty hard to get by a couple of guys there. I think that at one point, you were trying to just make up a couple of spots here and there, and you couldn't get by Hickman, and ended up in the gravel and kept on pushing your way up through the fields. But you're starting pretty far back there for the feature. Starting all the way back in 11, you got some work to do. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's a long race. It's gonna be interesting for sure. I don't know. We'll kind of see what happens. I think it's going to be about a 40-minute race tonight, so the laps are set a little short, but we should be okay pace-wise. It's just I wish I was starting a little higher. It's not easy to pass here. The reason I went off that second time was I was trying to avoid car braking early and ahead of me. So, yeah, we made that early mistake. We caught the curve and it just turned us in the last corner there. So.
Yeah, it's going to be, it looks like a 34-lap feature, a little short of 45 minutes. It's definitely going to make things interesting. It makes the fuel calculations a little easier for you, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It'll be a good race. Maybe a little nicer that it's short with how this track is. A little narrow.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fun one, at least. It makes for some great racing. Where do you think is your best spot to make the move?
Definitely down to the turn 1. We can get it done. We got great brakes. It's just a matter of holding the speed down the straightaway.
All right, Ray. Well, hey, go out there. You got a couple minutes left to warm up, and we'll see you hopefully on the podium interviews after the race.
Oh, I hope so. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Ray. That is Ray Kingsbury, driver of the number 25, joining us there between races. Charlie, what you got?
Apologies for the interruption there. We got a definition of livery here from Smooth One. Following on from the decoration of the nobility's horse-drawn carriages in their own owner's livery colors, a livery is the common design and paint scheme a business will use on its vehicles, often using specific colors and logo placement. In this sense, the term is applied to railway locomotives, rolling stock, ships, aircraft, and road vehicles. For example, UPS has trucks with a well-known brown livery. Other examples include the British Airways ethnic liveries and British... Oh, I guess his copy-paste got cut off, but I think we all get the gist of it. It sounds like it's sort of a loosely just any business colors and logos on a vehicle of any sort.
Yeah, and another thing, guys, is I finally joined the broadcast for the first time today. Hey, everybody, how y'all doing? I typically see the livery, the use of the word livery over in Europe more so than over here in America. Especially even if it does come to paint scheme or livery, a lot of Americans will use the paint scheme term, and then the livery term will be used more by Europeans. And I assume that has to do with a lot of just, the wording and stuff. I know in Great Britain they have a lot of crazy words and things that don't make sense to me, but it makes sense to them, and who am I to judge?
So this is about the time that Michael Berry is using the loo in the water closet with all of his shekels.
He's got his crisps. That's what he's got.
He's got his tea and his crumpets between races for his mid-race snack. No, but it's definitely one of those things. I think that's just like a cultural difference or something.
Absolutely.
I've noticed it at least on my end, even here in the States, is like in the IndyCar circles I hear livery all the time, but in NASCAR I hear paint job. So.
Oh, yeah. Paint scheme, paint job. I hear them all, man. And you know what? It all refers to the same thing, and I tell you, some of these liveries, or paint schemes, or whatever you want to call them, they look beautiful.
Cars.
And everybody, they all look beautiful. Yeah, all of the designs look beautiful out there, and I can't say enough about these teams and what they're doing out there. As we're about to get the feature on your way.
Yeah, 10 seconds left here of practice. Yeah, these guys just turning laps, and I got to give a shout out to you, Mr. Victor. You do a great job there producing week in and week out, and it's always fun as well meeting up with you and Josh Mertz and
absolutely
everybody, a bunch of guys. Mr. Kieran Big Dog Forrest as well was there. Just all of us meeting up at the IndyCar Grand Prix last weekend. Tons of fun.
Yeah.
Always great to have the Nitro, Circus, Sim Racing, NASA community getting together. just everybody getting
Absolutely.
together for a good time. But starting to take the grid here for 34 laps. Looks like it's going to be a lap count race instead of a timed race due to the way the session was set up. So maybe about a little shorter of a race tonight. And I think from talking or from hearing some of the drivers talk, it's not they're not complaining about it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, they're not at all. I'm being honest, Chad. I wasn't paying attention there. That's my fault. She said
Mike, you gotta, you know, if we're gonna be paying you the big bucks here, man, I mean, you gotta step up. I don't know what we're getting paid. I'll take
It's a long story.
I'll take my payment in Bitcoin over here. He's probably checking the Twitter trending thing once again.
No, I'm.
He's overweight. No, he's a young punk kid. He's on TikTok.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Yeah,
as we get pacing here, let's go through your starting grid for the 45-minute feature here in the RK Designs Grand Prix from Summit Point. On the pole is the Ferrari of Kevin Fanning from Matco Tools. On the outside of him is going to be David Bush III, and then David Schofield and Taylor Carroll. Row number 3 is Josh Clogg and Peter Houston. Michael Janney and Christian Challoner make up row number 4. Those are the 8 drivers that were involved in that inversion. And then it's Hickman and Lane. Kingsbury that we talked to during the break. He starts P11. On the outside is his teammate Marwan Matha. Then Harley Moss, Brian San, Tim Brokaw, Seth Rawls towards the back, followed by Josiah Wellwood, Robbie Lareal, and Kieran Big Dog Forrest. He had struggles in the sprint race, but he's back out there for the feature. Going to get things going, try to turn his luck around.
Thanks, yeah, Darren. Also, I wanted to take a point out. I think that's the only Ford in our. We always love our Fords here at Nitro Circus, and there you have one right there. The only Ford in the field driven by Robbie Lareal. You know, we shout out to Robbie. Go and make us proud.
That is correct. Yep, Robbie, the only Ford in the field. Most of the single car, I believe, is going to be the McLaren.
Yeah,
Yes, the McLaren has got about 6 guys that are in the field, including Team Spark. But drivers coming through the double hairpin there and kind of working their way down this long. I don't want to call it a back straightaway because it goes it's right next to the front straightaway, but this long downhill section where you can see some drivers make moves, and the final corner is slightly askew because of the hills. It's very contouring track here, and we saw a couple of drivers make a mistake there in the sprint, just getting too aggressive with moves, including Kingsbury as well as Lareal and Brokaw. So they go through the final corner here, and getting a jump once again is Kevin Fanning, still 2x2 further on back. We're going to have to see if Bush can get clear, as he's currently in that second spot right next to Schofield. Schofield pushing very hard, and there's still some guys making very aggressive moves further back, especially Josh Clogg. He's being hounded from behind by Peter Houston as well. But for the most part, we are clean through turn number 1.
Yeah, coming down out of turn 2 into turn 3 here. You see, we're looking right now. I'm looking at David Bush. We're also looking at basically David Bush. Walked onto him right now in that awesome pink and white Lamborghini. I mean, single file everywhere. I think about all the way back. See if that changes anywhere. You see Peter Houston maybe making a little bit of contact there with Josh Clogg.
Yeah, drivers realize this is a 34 lap race, excuse me. So they know exactly what the distance is, but at the same time, they know it's a lot longer of a race compared to what we saw earlier. But the big loser so far, David Bush, down 2 spots and currently being hounded for that 4th position that he currently holds as well. But a huge move there from Clogg, trying to get as much momentum as he can. He's going to have the momentum here. We're going to have to see when he pops out of line and how defensive Bush goes as he crosses the stripe, moving down 2 spots now to 4th spot. Josh Clogg peeking to the inside there. A couple of guys peeking out of line very late on the brakes. And Clogg up the inside. Oh, contact there for Peter Houston. Challoner thought better of it as well, gave the spot back. Good sportsmanship there as well. Great save by Peter Houston. That car was completely sideways through turn number 1.
And you can see all the dirt there on the apex to turn turn 3 there. I mean, Jesus. I mean, he's like, you don't expect them, but yeah. I mean, that track is dirty. We're going to be seeing guys struggling for grip going into there.
Oh, huge move there from Houston. Just absolutely sent it. Could not get by Josh Clogg, though, and we've got a freight train forming up here.
Yeah, Kevin Van, we don't really talk about him that much up at the front of the pack, because he is definitely, leading the charge here, not really showing much signs of weakness. I see that, and we were talking about the McLarens. The first one's in third, and it's Taylor Carroll. Definitely not the one we were thinking we'd see here. And there's Seth Rawls.
And we were also talking about the only Ford in the field. Unfortunately, Robbie Lareal involved in contact on the opening lap, and he is parked it. It looks like his pick is done. Only Mercedes in the field. That is that's Seth Rawls, and he's got a battle on his hands. Man, this is just so much fun to watch these guys fighting tooth and nail every single time around this track. Have to see how things go as this race starts to work its way through the laps.
Someone in the dirt. That looks like Schofield, I think.
Yeah, we've seen drivers use that. We can call that a joker lap. We can call it, that's pretty much a joker lap. Just a little shortcut there with that curve. Somebody off track there. That's the number 66 of Steve Lane. He has towed it back to the pits. Oh, he was involved in heavy contact.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Steve Lane. I mean, he's a very good driver. Sometimes he does not catch the best of luck. I mean, even going back to last season, I can remember him being involved in a ton of incidents.
Yeah, he caught the barrier. He caught too much of that gravel on what we called the joker lap, and he's just straight into the tire barriers, parked it up on top of the wall, and he takes it back to pit road. So that's going to be the end of his race.
Yeah, thankfully didn't head into the forest there, or else we might not have gotten him out. But yeah, now we're looking towards the battle for the lead right now. That's side by side going into turn 1.
And Schofield there, you see him up the inside there. And that's how he got to where he is at right now. He started third, he's worked his way up to first, and he's opened up a decent gap. It looks like David Bush, though, the driver holding up basically this entire train of faster drivers. It's a very difficult track to pass out. We see Peter Houston time after time with very moves under braking, just trying to get Bush offline and can't get him to make a mistake. And that's really what you need to do at a track like this. It's so difficult to pass. But if he can get a good run here down this long straightaway or maybe down the front stretch, he's going to have the opportunity to make the move at a couple different points on this track.
Yeah, we're going to see it now. You see Schofield right going through that final corner. Such a fast, but also super tough to get right. They've actually built out a decent gap here. I wonder if him and Carroll are going to try and signal to each other maybe, hey, let's kind of build a gap here. We know some of these guys are faster, so, let's take advantage of the fact that we already have about 1.5 seconds on them. Listen, they have a big bunch up into 1 there, geez.
Yeah, very defensive move by Fanning. Bush holding on. In the battle for the lead, clipping the grass there was Carroll. We've seen that be very dangerous. That's how Steve Lane ended up in the tires, but he is still hounding Schofield as well. They've got a decent gap out the back, so no pressure between the two of them. They might just kind of say, hey, let's get things straightened out. And man, this train of guys from Fanning on back through at least Kingsbury. No, Mofta's there as well. That entire train of cars they're just all being held up by these front 2 guys.
Yeah, indeed. Now you see him coming down that back stretch. I mean, you gotta just wonder. I think it's an inevitability that Houston, Challoner, and Janney will get to the front. It's just a matter of when and how. You see, Houston's got a decent run off of David Bush, but he's not exactly getting a lane or anything. He's gonna try and get onto the draft. And Kevin Van there. There goes Christian Challoner over to the outside.
And Bush on the outside. Can he get the move done? Bush up the inside. Houston to the outside in that blue number 4. Can he hold on to it here? He's got the right positioning. He's going to have the inside line through under the next braking zone. But okay, this is going to be huge for Christian Challoner. This is the big lap for him. He needs to make sure he doesn't get stuck behind David Bush for too long. Because if he does, he's going to lose a ton of time to his competitor, the next best driver, or next fastest driver in front of him, of Peter Houston. Yeah, right.
There's Clogg and Kingsbury. Oops.
Yep, Kingsbury just holding on for dear life, charging very hard up the field. We saw him be very aggressive in the sprint, and he's doing the same here, just trying to work his way up through the field. Challenger peeking out of line. We haven't seen many moves here into turn number 10. They have mostly come from getting all the momentum off the corner, using all the track there was Challenger. But man, look at this move. Here it comes from Houston. Going to send it up the inside. And Challenger looks like he's going to send it up the inside as well. So Challenger's going to have the 4th spot, but he now needs to get by Kevin Fanning as well to make sure he doesn't lose a ton of time.
Yeah. I mean, Peter Houston and and Challenger both made moves that really paid off there. Now the odd man out right now is Janny, and he's going to try and take a look on the outside of Bush there.
Yeah, it's such a difficult track. We talked about how narrow it was in the opening. About 3, maybe 3.5 car was wide. These are wider cars than I think would normally see on this track.
Yeah, you'd be right. Right now, this is mostly used an SCCA track. So you see your likes of your Miatas, your Spec Racer Fords, your Skippies, and maybe some occasional Indy Lights on iRacing or USFs. We don't have the Indy Lights yet. Wink, wink.
The Schofield and Carroll still up front, and they've got about a 3 or so second gap back to Peter Houston now. And Christian Challenger is going to pop out of line here, see if he can't make up some ground to Peter Houston. And Challenger's going to get that move done in turn number 1. So he's got some work to do. Very respectful racing from these guys at the front of the field. They've given each other plenty of room, even when guys are very aggressive on the brakes. Oh, big wiggle there from, was that Janny? Yes, Janny with a wiggle coming over the crest of the hill. And he's now working his way on the back of Kevin Fanning.
Another wiggle there. I think the wiggle is where you find the speed in the McLaren here. We know it's probably the most unstable car out of these GTs. So maybe they figured, hey, all right, we can wiggle it a little bit. Maybe we can get a little bit deeper. Maybe keep our tires at a good temperature.
Yeah, the track very bumpy. Going to upset the car a lot depending on how stiff of springs you use on it and what you have the right height set at. But man, Kevin Fanning, he's started on the pole. He is currently in 4th position. Oh, he's going to lose at least one of those spots here on this lap as he got passed by Christian Challenger. So, yep, he is going to drop down from 1st now to 5th. Michael Janey, unfortunately, not able to work his way up like the rest of the guys that were on the podium from the sprint.
Yeah, no.
Houston making up ground to your leaders, about 2/10 faster last lap. So he's definitely making up some ground there. Fastest lap of the race so far, though, was just set by Christian Challenger, and that was even faster. That was 3/10 faster than Houston and half a second faster than Schofield. He's got some clean racetrack as well, about half a second or so between him from Challenger to the car in front of him. Looks like David Bush now starting to really struggle further in the back of the field. He just lost another couple of positions to Clog and now getting hounded by Kingsbury. So he is one of the bigger losers so far, from 2nd down to 7th. Make that 8th, actually. So definitely not showing that he wanted after a very competitive sprint. Kingsbury goes wide through the gravel there. A couple guys almost followed him out and doing a great job just to hold on to it. As some of these guys further back battling very hard as we look down at turn number 1.
Yeah, you see him turn number 1. There's Janny to the inside. Kevin Fanning trying his best to hold on. He might stay side by side with him. Might get that. If he gets that run off, he might be able to hold off. No, he's going to tuck back in, try and hold off Clog here.
I think that's a smart move. Just try to get as much of the slipstream as you can. Those two guys are teammates. I was surprised to see Janny not set it up at a spot where Clog could just follow him through. It seems to work. And a huge moment there, but just holding on to it. And these guys are really using that accordion effect to try to make up ground on everybody around them. But right now, some very quick laps being set all throughout the field. Another 10th was made up by Challenger on Houston last lap, and both of those guys made up about 4/10 on your leader, David Schofield.
Yeah, see, now we got that Taylor Carroll there, kind of following fallen into the clutches of Houston and Challenger. I'd be surprised if he's able to hold on for another lap with those two angry, ferocious drivers coming from right behind him.
Exactly. Yeah, Carroll just seeing these guys get bigger and bigger in his mirror. He was about 2.5 seconds ahead of Houston when he finally got into the 3rd position. But he gets very loose right there. Fantastic save to hold on to him. He's going to have absolutely no momentum as they come up here to the double hairpin.
Yeah, I see him now into the double hairpin now for the first out of 2. Kind of
Very defensive line there from Carroll, able to hold off Houston for now, though.
Yeah, I thought it was. You see him right now. All right, and we just want to point out right now from our producer that the timer on the broadcast is about 5 minutes slow. Or it's about 5 minutes fast. We actually are sitting at about 35.
It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes slow. So I will keep you updated. I have a lap counter going as well. So I will keep an eye on that at the same time as watching. And very defensive line from Carroll. Or sorry, from
we got
Houston.
a wreck in the back. I think big. Looks like.
But just as you say, we got third. We got Ray Kingsbury's off. He's not had a very great race, but no, Houston and Challenger just got by Taylor Carroll in turn number 1. There's a look at the replay. There was somebody else spinning there as well.
Janney,
that was was that Michael Janney?
That's the points leader.
The points leader. This is the day that Christian Challenger needed his opponents to have. And after missing a race last week for Challenger, Janney said that he might not be able to make this one, but actually he is here. And unfortunate move there. He's going to be very aggressive, trying to make up as many spots as he can as we work lap number 13 now out of 34.
Yeah, right now for Michael Janney, he just has to be on damage control here. I don't think he has a chance of winning this race now unless something catastrophic happens to top 15. But, he does have is a decent shot right now, getting into the top 10, getting some points back, and just keeping the loss here at a minimum.
So the lead at the stripe, 1.8 seconds for Schofield over Houston, but that is coming down by about half a second or so every single lap. Not a great lap from Christian Challenger. He lost 0.3 to Houston on the back end of that last lap, but he is still right there. So it's going to be very interesting to see where the leaders catch where Houston and Challenger catch Schofield, and if they can get around him in time. There's still plenty of racing left to go. But if my math is correct, they'll catch him in about 5 laps and then have about 15 or so to get that move done. Two drivers have retired from the race as well. Robbie LaReal and Steve Lane, both of those guys. Early incidents, LaReal was, I believe, on lap number 2, Steve Lane on lap number 4. But those guys worked very hard this week, and unfortunate to see them in the garage, put in unfortunate positions early on in the race. But right now, it's still David Schofield in front of Houston and Challenger. Your top 5 wrapped up by Taylor Carroll and Josh Clogg. Some very familiar names here at the front of this field. Kevin Fanning doing pretty well as well. He's got a train behind him, though, of Bush, Moss, and Seth Rawls. These guys battling very hard. Seth Rawls, of course, we mentioned, the only Mercedes in the field, and he's got that thing sitting right now in the 9th position.
Now let's talk about David Schofield for a second here, because we really haven't. He's kind of been a bit of a non-factor for the first half of the season, but yeah, he's really putting out the performance of a career tonight. A driver from somewhere in the U.S., so it's a driver from New England, close to me. In that number 27 Lamborghini, beautiful privateer car. Just putting on a really great performance here tonight, especially holding off the likes of Challenger and Houston.
Yeah, 1.8 the gap at the stripe last time by. We'll have to see as they come out of the final corner now what that gap is this time by. As they cross the line, it's down it's back up. It went up 0.2 that lap. Houston definitely feeling the pressure from Challenger as they're side by side for second place going into turn number 1. Challenger backs out of it. He's going to have some momentum, thinking about going up the inside, up the back straightaway. That was very close. Challenger a very aware driver. He knows exactly where the corners of his race car are. Off track there is Houston, but able to keep control. We talked about that kind of being the Joker lap, a little bit of a shortcut, but it definitely gets hairy. Challenger, though, you see him under brake. They're able to make up so much ground. It's incredible to see. But Challenger right there on the back end of Houston, and Taylor Carroll doing a great job as well, just holding on to that 4th position right now.
Yeah, I just want to talk about that camera angle right there. It's a super cool angle. You can kind of just see the stopping power these cars have. I mean, we probably won't go back to it, but even just going into that hairpin, you just saw how, like, on a dime, Houston and Challenger were able to stop from going so fast. Maybe it was the point of view, maybe not. And here
comes the run. Very defensive line there from Houston. Chandler going to go to the outside of turn number 1. Can he get it done? He's going to be clear by the time they even get there. An incredible run. Oh, wow. Very late on the brakes. That's the BMW's braking power right there. It can carry the mid-corner speed so well, or especially on entry as well. And just Chandler was almost clear. And I think he actually might have been, but a very smart move not to cut him off there, because that obviously would have ended very badly, possibly for both of them.
Yeah, such an impressive defensive move there by Houston. I think he can be very happy with that. I mean, he's still got some work to do holding off Challenger, but a move like that shows Challenger that he's gonna have to fight a lot harder to get around that Beamer.
And we've got battles elsewhere in the field that we need to look at as well. Right now I'm taking a look at the 68 of Kevin Fanning and David Bush as well. They are just fighting very hard, tooth and nail. Almost some contact as they entered the double hairpin, but able to keep things clean and facing in the right direction. And right behind them is Moss and Rawls as well. I know Moss was looking forward to this race, and he's streaming it over on his Twitch channel. He's a very great guy. I interacted with him. I was spotting for him in the fixed Indy 500 last weekend, and I ended up taking second in that one as his crew chief, aka me, accidentally underfueled the car on his last stop. I take all the blame for that one, Harley. That's my bad. But putting on a great show here. So it's Fanning and Bush there. This is actually right up. This is Josh Clogg in front of them. And your points leader, we talked about him going off earlier. He has worked his way all the way up to, or he worked his way up from, I believe, 16th, now up to 13th, but he is feeling pressure. He's feeling pressure from Kieran Forrest that he just got by. We're going to have to see if Janney can hold him off. Very aggressive using those curbs. Forrest thought about going up the outside. Almost contact there as well. But man, just so aggressive. You can see the difference in these cars with the stopping power that they have. And that's a look back up front. That's between Houston and Challenger, as we're at halfway right now. They are both closing in on David Schofield. The lead gap is only 1.2. It was about 1.9 just a couple of laps ago.
And you see Challenger, trying his best to get around the outside there. Wasn't quite the run he wanted. Houston did have to take the defensive line, though, so maybe Challenger can take this as a sign to see he's looking up the inside again. Gonna think better of it, though, as they come through turn 3. Probably the most challenging point on the circuit you can, in terms of passing opportunities. I mean, here, stick it up the inside. I mean, maybe the S's beat turn 3, but turn 3 is such a driver's part of the track that making a pass there is almost suicide.
Yeah, turn number 1 seems to be the most common place to get a move done. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch for sure when Schofield ends up getting caught by these guys. Can Houston do it in a way where he doesn't leave the door open for Challenger on the outside, or is there a way for Challenger to take advantage of something that happens in front of him as well? Gap at the line this time, 1.0, so it came down 0.2 once again. Michael Janney, yeah, you talked about him peeking to the inside as well.
He had it,
man,
I think.
Very, very fun to watch all throughout the field. Yeah, that is Janney. Yep, now up to 12th position. Sorry, make that 11th position at the line. But he's going to have Brian Son peeking right back to the inside of him. No. And back up front, this is still the fun battle to watch. Lead down to about half a second, as you see on timing and scoring there. Man, these guys just fighting tooth and nail, just doing everything they can to catch one another. And Schofield's going to have his hands full here with about 15 laps remaining.
Yeah, one thing you have to hope here for Peter Houston, we've historically seen Challenger be a super good tire manager, like excellent at holding on to saving his stuff. He's got to hope Houston's been learning a little bit from him, especially after competing with him last year, and just trying his best to make sure that Challenger doesn't take advantage of him the same way he took advantage of a lot of the other guys last season.
Yeah, Michael James, talking about him, points leader now up to 11th position, but he has a solid gap back to Marwan Mafta. So he's got some work to do if he wants to make up even more spots. It's about 3 seconds in last lap. He ended up ended up making up about 0.8 of a second. So he's definitely catching him. Question is there going to be enough time to get to him? And then if he does, can he get the move done? Man, these guys all over the back of Schofield up front as well. I mean, this is further back. This is actually this is Moss and Rawls. Yes, Moss and Rawls there. Just that one lone Mercedes in a field of McLarens, Ferraris, and Lambos. Of course, Christian Challenger, the only Audi in tonight's field as well.
Yeah,
this could be the opportunity. This could be the opportunity, I think, that Rawls was looking for. He's right there alongside. Can he get the nose there before the corner? Try to make the entry as difficult as possible to turn number 10. He cannot, but he's going to have an excellent run here down the front straightaway.
Oh, Challenger to the outside.
Challenger, wow, almost got him there. Peeking to the outside, but unfortunately can't get that move done. But they are fighting very hard still. Christian Challenger and Peter Houston.
Yeah, absolute tooth and nail here. You see Schofield going off, losing a little bit of time here. I'm just going to allow Houston to close up significantly as he comes into the double hairpins. Really sending it in.
Challenger through the S's caught the curb just wrong. It almost shot his car across the track. Able to keep it under control, and he is right there on Houston's bumper as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're about to see a 3-car battle for the lead here, folks, as now they come through turn 9. I think either turn 8 or turn 9. Coming down the hill into turn 10. Can Houston hold on? I don't know.
The one thing I've noticed is Challenger uses a lot more racetrack coming for number 10 compared to Peter Houston. That might be where some of the run that Challenger gets down, especially towards the end of the straightaway, comes in. He's peeking to the inside, leaving the door open as Schofield, but not close enough at the end of the straightaway to get that move, even get the nose there. And Challenger, he's looking, you see him weaving all down the straightaway. He's looking for an opportunity to get past, can't get it done there. And once again, catching those curves and using as much racetrack as he possibly can, but can't find a way around Houston.
Yeah, see him not shooting. He's just trying to basically block it. I mean, oh, we got lap traffic coming up ahead. That's Mr. Wellwood there. In that 18, we were talking about him in that, the blank beamer. Let's see how that affects our racing here. Probably gonna get him coming down straight away.
Yeah, he's got a decent gap behind him, but it's gonna be interesting just where they catch him on their own. Because the respectful thing is obviously just to move out of the way. I don't know if there's going to be much of an opportunity because this is a very hard track to do that. Taylor Carroll off into the grass, going to lose 1, 2, 3 positions. So he has lost a bunch of spots there. That was just a moment ago.
Oh, and there's Challenger to the outside again.
Oh, still side-by-side contact. Oh. There might have been some contact there, but Challenger, can he get clear?
I think he might.
Oh my, that's using the lap traffic as we picked 2, just a T right there. Perfect execution, a great move by Challenger around the outside at the perfect time and got the move done. Now he's got to chase down Schofield.
Yeah, really set up that move to perfection now. You see Schofield now, I guess he might be sweating a little bit harder, and Wellwood's around in the first hairpin, so it looks like we're gonna carry on. Nothing's gonna come of it. And now and there he is, back going. Let's keep on this battle right here as to come down the hill into turn 10. Can Challenger maybe get a run here? Let's see.
He's trying to fight
He's
back.
got a big run.
This is the first time we've seen Chandler try to take a defensive line. Now leaves the inside open as well. A little preemptive weave, and they're trying to set the move up. Chandler right on the back bumper of Schofield going into the corner, but backing up the corner is what Schofield's been doing, getting the run out, and you see him now be about 3 car lanes clear down the second straightaway.
Yeah, you see them right there, Schofield. Super tight off there, basically, you know, barely rubbing the dirt. Now coming through turn 4 into 5, going a bit wide here. Ooh, that might hurt him as he comes into turn 6 now.
Chandler trying to set up that crossover move on Schofield. Unfortunately, can't get it done on exit, and he's going to have some work to do. Peter Houston just all over, using every bit of curb, every bit of racetrack, and he's trying to get that move done, but unfortunately can't do it. Chandler going to have the move here. He's peeking to the inside. We have not seen a move done into this corner yet. He's going to get it there, but can he hold on to it? He absolutely can, all the way over the curbing to the edge of the track, and he is going to have the lead and some clean racetrack as Schofield tries to defend that second position now.
See him now, Peter Houston. Can he get clear of him? Yes, he can. I think he's even going to be able to maybe shoot to the inside. Almost overshot it. Kind of did overshoot it there.
And he's still not clear of Schofield. So he's just going to open the door for Chandler, just pull away with it. Houston still has to battle very hard here.
And now Houston's to the inside.
Houston tried to make the move, but he had to back out of it before they got to the apex of the S. And this is just going to be a Christian Chandler show. I feel like these last 10 laps, have to see how it plays out, of course. Don't want to speak too soon, but man, just the way that these two guys were running down Schofield, now that Chandler has some clean track in front of him, not another lapped car in sight. The next car on track is going into turn number 1 right now. So they've got plenty of room to kind of fight this out between the 3 of them. And Chandler really doing his best just to pull away with it.
Yeah, Chandler, he's doing a very good job of that right now. He's pulled out to almost a second here on Schofield. About 0.85 at the line, I think. Here's Houston trying still to make the run. Both of them, I mean, they're still sniffing the slipstream here. Going into turn 1.
Yeah, I want to get more drivers on involved in this stream because it's such a fun one to watch, but we're under 10 laps to go. Charlie, let's call you in here one final time. We'll see what else is going on in Twitch land.
Echo with the 25 bits and the most specific prediction we've had to date. Are you guys ready for this?
Okay.
Kingsbury for a top 5, Rawls to lose connection due to mechanical issues, and Schofield for the win. So he's almost got this Schofield prediction dialed in. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out as we head to the last 5 laps, guys.
Internet predictions are always a fun one to make. But of course, these guys battling very hard. This is a look at Kingsbury that we just saw involved in that prediction, fighting real hard to get past Brian San, holding on in that black, teal, and orange Penguin RC car. Of course, San, one of the, I believe, owners possibly of Penguin RC. He's definitely involved in the sponsorship of the series. I know that, to say the least, and we appreciate all the work that he does to help put this show on. Providing some great prizes for the winners, and it's definitely going to be fun to watch him perform the rest of this race and throughout the rest of the season as well. He's currently running in 12th position with Kingsbury right behind, having a move up towards the front of the field for the 5th position, side by side in turn number 1, Busch and Fanning, and Busch gets done on exit. Those two have been fighting for a couple of laps now, and finally, those two guys started 1-2. They dropped pretty far back and now just clawing their way up and still fighting through it. So Busch now to the 5th position. Definitely fun there. And this is the next group of cars right behind them. That car in front, of course, is Wellwood in that blue BMW, letting that was Moss and Janney get by. Janney, of course, he was pretty far back. He was about, I believe, 14th or so earlier. Almost some contact there. Janney doing everything he can to keep the car under control. He is now up to the 8th position as we come to 6 laps to go. Currently working lap number 28 out of 34. Houston looking around the outside of Schofield in turn number 1 and can't do it. That's the same move that Chandler made to get by him. Unfortunately, didn't have the lap car as a pick and couldn't get clear in time. But Schofield just doing everything he can to hold on to that second step of the podium.
Yeah, he is there. As we're looking back at David Bush, this is the battle for 5th still. Kevin Fanning looking to the inside. Not going to try a move there wisely, I guess.
Yeah, way too far
got,
back to get a move done.
Yeah, I mean, even if you could be right in the inside, and I think you said there maybe almost side by side there with that Houston and Schofield.
Yeah, they've been fighting. We've seen it every single lap. But this is the battle for the AM win between Bush and Fanning. They are fighting very hard to get that move done. Schofield off in the grass or in the gravel in turn number 10, but keeps the car under control. But Houston going to look to the outside in turn number 1 once again. He has to have him here because we've seen him so late on the brakes. No, wow.
Oh, no, man.
Can he get the run off the corner? No.
Yeah,
oh my. Who's got the momentum here? The next corner is going to be a left-hander, but it's a very quick one there, and it's going to be Houston getting up into second position. Schofield, by the way, the battle there between those two guys. Last lap, Schofield ran a 109.6, 109.5 for Houston. Meanwhile, Christian Chandler, 108.7. And Josh Collard right there as well, 108.6, so he's catching up. That just shows Schofield was holding up Peter Houston by a considerable amount. He might have burned off his tires defending so hard early in the race. Clog's going to have a shot to the podium here as the laps start to trickle down.
Indeed he is now. Now we're looking still at David Bush. I mean, he's about 12 seconds ahead of him to Clog. About, I don't know, 2 seconds back to Jenny. Let's talk about Jenny for a second, making an incredible comeback here. Sniffing a top 5 maybe. You see him right behind Fanning there. There he is. What an incredible comeback for our points leader here. Just trying his best to salvage anything he can, basically anything he can get from Challenger.
He worked his way up a couple of spots on the start, and then, of course, we talked about getting into the gravel at turn number 10, spinning across the track. No collisions for the car, just spun it out himself, lost a ton of time and a lot of ground. Worked his way back up to the 7th position where he started. Man, just such an incredible run for Michael Janney. We thought that this was going to be a great result for Christian Chandler, but Janney doing everything he can to have the points gain be as little as possible.
Yeah, definitely. Now we're looking still at, we're still looking at him, obviously. Never went away from him. As you see him getting very loose. We talked about that earlier, about that super wiggly, smiggly thing going into the two hairpins there. Just maybe trying to scrub off speed, maybe trying to gain speed. Who knows? We see it now.
3.5 seconds at the line was the gap last time by. This time by the stripe. As we see Houston crossing it now, it goes to 4.0. So Christian picking up another half a second there on the advantage over Peter Houston. And he's still under pressure from Schofield and Clog right there as well. These guys battling and battling and battling. It's just, it's not a war of attrition because, you know, they're keeping things nice, clean, and orderly, but it's just an all-out war out there right now.
Yeah, and I'm just double-checking some math real quick. If Jenny wants to hold on to the points lead, I think he'd have to finish. I mean, he finished second. If he finished second in the sprint, he has to finish second to hold on to the points lead. So in most scenarios right now, I'd say it's safe to say Challenger's coming away with the points here.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about not having a drop week for these guys. I know that Challenger would still probably have that points lead either way coming out of this one if we did have a drop week, but it just makes it all the more impressive even with him not starting the last event.
Yeah, let's find out real quick. Look at how dark it's getting. I don't know what the in-game time is right now, Chad, if you can pull that up. And let's also talk about, I think we're also within 3 to 2 laps to go. Chad, you want to check that too?
Yep, currently working lap number 32 out of 34. Christian Chandler at the line. Yeah, Christian Chandler last time at the line has the fastest lap both of the race. Not on his last lap, of course. It's pretty late on tires to be doing that. But he has the fastest lap of the race at 108.175. And his last lap was the fastest on track as well at 108.551. So using the clean track to his advantage, As the guys behind him, Houston, Schofield, and Clark, all battling between each other, just trying to make up as much time as they can and try to get as many positions as they can. Josh Clark, by the way, made up 0.3 of a second on Schofield last time by, working the way through the final.
Look at how much dirty's in there. I think, speaking of Clark, he's going to go for the position here, get into P3, take that podium. You go, sir.
Schofield worked so hard to hold on, using the inversion to his advantage. He started third, was running basically first for the first half of the race or so. Once he lost that first position, though, it's been all downhill. For slowly slipping down now into the 4th spot as Claude gets by. And Claude, he's lost a little bit of time as well to Peter Houston. So where that trickles down at the end, Marwan Mafta seems like he has had a moment. He is now in the pits, by the way, though looks like he is not going to finish this one either.
Oh, yeah, ooh, ow.
Let's just look at the replay of it. Gets off onto the dirt.
Don't think that affects him. I'd say it's going to happen going to turn 3 here.
This is pretty far back. Oh, off onto the grass. And yeah, maybe, wheel failure. It didn't seem like there was a lot of steering, but he just went straight on through that curve, got the grass, and could not correct in time.
Yeah, I mean, you usually expect someone to go around like that. I don't know if maybe just because the front tires caught first. And here we are on the final lap here, presented by somebody.
This is the white flag of the RK Designs Grand Prix here from Summit Point, West Virginia. Christian Chandler using these country roads to take him and the trophy back home to England.
And there they go to the inside. That's Michael Janney there.
Janney up to 6th and now trying to get 5th. Does he get the spot side by side on the final lap? Busch doing everything he can to hold him off. But it doesn't look... Oh, he's still there, though. You can't go too wide here.
They are going too
wide. Wow. Yeah, just lifting just enough there was Busch.
Right
just the absolute cojones to make that move at the end of the race.
Yeah.
The fortitude of Michael Janney to keep his foot in it. Busch letting out, and as we come around the final corner, Christian Challenger through turn number 10, down the hill and across the stripe, and he takes victory at the RK Designs Grand Prix. And it looks like our blimp losing control just a little bit, but Peter Houston takes second, Josh Clogg third, Schofield gonna take the 4th spot. The battle between Janney and Busch is pretty much done. Janney's gonna get that, followed by Busch, then Kevin Fanning takes home the 7th spot. 8th is Harley Moss. Seth Rawls then. Ray Kingsbury worked his way up to a top 10. Not quite the podium that was predicted by the Twitch chat, but then Brian Snuck. And then Kieran Forrest. Under pressure to the line, but able to hold off Taylor Carroll. Oh, and a incredible finish there from some of the guys. Then Hickman works his way across the line. Then Brokaw. Barney doing his great work all throughout the checker flag, just waving, keeping it up. Josiah Wellwood just laboring around. He, limps it home, and great to see some more guys get involved here in the series. You can definitely tell some of them are on a higher level than everybody else, especially with the way that Houston and Clogg and Challenger battled tonight. But I mean, even Michael Janney just stepping up from his early spin all the way back up into the top 5, doing everything he could just preserve his points lead, or to do damage control to what was his points lead.
Indeed. Now we'll go. Everybody pull in here. Let some of the drivers get out of their virtual cars, and then we're going to be right back with some. Actually, real quick, we haven't really checked in. How's Twitch land looking over there, Charlie? While we're waiting on interviews.
Things are good out here. What a race, guys! I think it was too much action, too much to pay attention to, but everyone was having a great time. One thing I do want to point out before you go to the interviews is Peter Houston. I mentioned before he predicted he would not make the podium, but here's what he said about last week's podium. He said, I just got really lucky and made the most of other drivers' mistakes. I'm very curious to hear his take on today's podium because that's interesting take from last week to this week and how he predicted that you'd see Challoner, Clog, Janney, not in that order necessarily, but he predicted that would be, the podium, as did Kieran Forrest. And probably a lot of us thought that might be what you would see for a top three. So, got close to that prediction, but Peter Houston making that second place spot. Can't wait to hear from him.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting here now as we
Still waiting. Looks like these guys are just discussing the race in the in-race chat, and these guys, I mean, very very well fought battles all throughout the field. Yeah, we'll just just kind of waiting at this point for these guys to get in here for their interviews. Yeah, I mean, just an incredible fight. Schofield holding on for so long after making the most of that inversion, making the most of it, and we've seen guys hold on to the lead and from that inversion. We've seen strategy moves kind of dropping down to make the most of it. And it looks like we have our first interview of the night, our second place finisher, Peter Houston. Peter, what were your thoughts on tonight's race? Peter, you have a copy?
Oh, sorry, yeah. I'm just really surprised I finished where I did. I did not think this would really be a BMW track. I did not think this would be a track where I was strong. But just when I started work on the setup, this car started clicking. I started finding a lot of pace. And I knew that I'd do pretty good this race as long as I could keep it on.
Yeah, it sounds like from talking with Charlie in an interview we did with him, he was talking about how you said that last week's podium was lucky for you to end up there, and then I was lucky for you to end up there, and then this week, you talked about not even having the chance to get that podium.
I mean, I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought that when I got to the practice session, I was going to find out that everyone else had more pace than they did. I think, Janney being, I think he said a bit out of practice, really gave me a leg up tonight.
Yeah, what was it like there being stuck behind Schofield for so long, trying to get that move done with Challoner hounding, just breathing down your neck for so long?
Like, you might have seen, there were a couple times that I almost hit David just because I was braking so late trying to defend. I was getting pretty frustrated at that point, and then when Christian got by me and got by David, and then I didn't get by that run, I was like thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it, but finally made it stick.
Yeah, halfway through the season, what are your thoughts overall here as we approach wrapping up race number 4 of 8?
I think that it's going to be a great season. I'm really looking forward to some of the tracks in the second half. Not tracks that I've raced on a lot, but the little I did and some of the stuff we did in preseason testing, I don't know. I think I'm going to enjoy it.
Well, hey, as we wrap things up here, who helped get you here? Who do you want to thank?
I want to thank Christian for making the iRacing setups for these cars. Honestly, the last couple races I've been just going to tweaking his setups for the BMW, and I guess it's worked wonders.
I was gonna say I was talking to him last week, and he said that from running this in the BMW last season is actually where he got some of the setups for those cars. So definitely great to see, and yeah, we have to thank him for all the hard work he does for iRacing. So we'll let him know that you said that in his interview here in a moment.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Peter. That's the second place finisher tonight of Peter Houston. Next up is the winner of both tonight's sprint and feature race, Christian. That was definitely an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised to even be on the front row in qualifying, so that helped me out. Is that the first time I've actually been on the front row in qualifying? I'm not even sure. I feel like it is, which is obviously the opposite from last season when I was in AM in GT3. But yeah, still have the same struggles with this car. Like the further on we get into the event, kind of the more suited I get to it, especially in the feature and whatnot. And it's an interesting deal. I don't really know why it is. It's not like I don't have a lot of experience in the car. I drive it a lot, trying to build setups for it, trying to figure it out for BOP and everything. So it's just strange how pretty much it's constant. Every race so far this season, it's pretty much I seem to get better as the night goes on. So that was nice to be lining up second, because I kind of figured from there that maybe actually pace was really, really good. Obviously the sprint, I was surprised that I was able to get by Michael actually kind of easily, and I think for the first time this season I was running less downforce than the guys I was racing, so it's actually easier for me to pass tonight than it has been. So that worked out quite well. Obviously the feature, getting the invert and whatnot, I put a degree more rear wing on my car just because towards the end of the sprint it was getting a bit all over the place and a bit unstable, and I was worried it might be a bad decision because I thought it might make passing really, really hard, but I think it was actually the right decision just because it meant that I could really, really attack, and that was what was necessary. Through that last section, Peter in the BMW was just really, really strong, and I knew I had to be able to follow him through there and really commit to it, which was pretty hard with 6 degrees of wing, but was quite a bit easier with 7. It was hard to stick with him, but it was easier to be committed and whatnot. And yeah, the feature was ace. Like, that was really, really fun. Obviously, really tight track, really difficult to pass on, but it was really, really fun to move through. You had to be really patient. You had to kind of play a lot of strategic games, I would say, in terms of passing. Obviously, Peter, I got that opportunity with the lapped BMW, and was able to kind of pin him behind, and that to be honest, I think is pretty much how I won that, because it was going to be very, very difficult to pass Peter if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, you talk about being patient, but what's the mindset when you're trying to hold your own and hold position and work your way up through the field, but you also need to make sure that you get around everybody else and not lose sight of Peter? I mean, it looked like it was very difficult to kind of time moves and kind of get the moves done to stay with him.
Yeah, well, but the thing with kind of like a big pack race like that is that actually, if you let the field spread out, it gets easier to make passes just because you got more track to work with and whatnot. And that was why there was a couple of laps. I mean, this was later on, but there was a couple of laps where I stopped trying to pass Peter, just so that he would tow me up to the back of David, and that worked out quite well. But yeah, earlier on in the feature, the big thing was making sure I was ahead of Michael, not letting him have an easy pass on me. And then just trying to not send it through following Peter as he was making the passes, but like if he made a pass on a car, then the next lap I was going to try and make the same pass, kind of thing. And it's tricky because you got to maintain forward momentum, because otherwise everybody thinks that you're slow and then they start trying to pass you. So there's a lot of mind games with it, but it's a lot of fun. You just got to really kind of play it and know that it's going to work out, Like, it took a long time to get to the front, but I figured it out in terms of how many laps I was going to have and whatnot, and it worked out.
Yeah, and a note that I have to pass along here from Peter, actually. He said in his shout outs and everything, he had to thank you for how good of a job you did with the BMW sets for these cars, and you worked on those here last season. What are you learning for the Audis as well?
I have learned actually a fair bit for the Audi, I would say. In fact, whilst I've still got the garage open, I'm going to take a look. This is the first time I have ever raced the Audi R8 with the rear anti-roll bar disconnected. And yeah, okay, it works all right. I'm prepared to say that, but I don't think it'll become the norm. But yeah, I'm starting to figure it out. I don't want to say I've got it figured out, because every time you think you have anything figured out with this, it's kind of a road to nowhere, Like, I actually had a couple of moments towards the end of the race where I was really, really comfortable with the car, and it nearly went bad on a number of occasions. There was one moment, I think it was like 29 or something like that. It was right after I set my fastest lap, coming down to the final corner. I overshot it just a little bit, and the rear end kicked out, and it snapped so hard that my center monitor actually went off. And for a split second, I was like, I'm dead. There's no way. There's no way. And somehow gathered it up, and the screen came back on. So yeah, I don't ever want to say I've got something figured out, because I never feel like I do. But yeah, definitely learning stuff about the car, and for sure it should make the baseline setups for this thing definitely better for season 3. Obviously, the BMW setups are essentially my setups from last season from this series, so that's worked out quite well, apparently.
Oh, very cool, very cool. And last but not least, as always, who do you have to thank for getting here?
Just want to thank you guys and everybody who puts the league on, because broadcasts are awesome, and just being able to come in and race every week is a lot of fun. It's a really cool series. It's got a really good atmosphere to it. Everybody's really friendly. Everybody's races really well, and I've had a lot of fun with it. And like kind of midway through the race, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, this is really cool. I'm actually having a great time. There's races where sometimes you kind of just sort of grinding your way through it, but no, I was like in the middle of the pack, and I was like, this is really close, but this is a lot of fun. So I got to thank everybody in the league for just being able to do that. It's fun being able to race side by side and have confidence that everybody's going to make it through the corner.
Well, hey, Christian, thanks for joining us here in the booth, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
That's Christian Chandler, the winner of tonight's Arcade Designs Grand Prix. And one final interview here on the night, David Bush III, the winner of the AM category. David, I think this is your first AM win of the season. Is that correct?
No, I've won at the Glen.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, hey, congratulations on another win then. And just kind of talk about your race. It looked like every time we looked at your car, you were either pressured from somebody or putting the pressure on them.
Yeah, I spent over half of the race fighting with Kevin. It was a duel for most of the race, but I know a lot of the pro guys were behind us since we had started up on the front of the grid. So I was more focused on keeping the car off the grass and just managing my race.
Yeah, what was it like on such a technical track knowing that you have some really fast guys behind you?
Yeah, it's definitely a clutter. You definitely have to keep aware of where people are and who might send you and who might just lay off for a turn or two. I've done a lot of practice at this track. I live like not even an hour away, so I've been out there a few times and watched a few races.
Does that kind of give you home field advantage coming to a track here in iRacing?
I would hope so, but you never know with how close these cars are.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely know that feeling from my home track here is Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So Indy 500 last week. I like to think that I knew what I was doing. I still ended up getting taken out from behind, but you know what? Home field advantage is definitely a thing in iRacing. We have to all believe it. But yeah, I mean, it was an incredible show. You guys did a great job. You and Kevin battling all throughout the race. What was like between the two of you both starting on the front row and then just kind of holding on for dear life? It looked like.
Yeah, it was tight. I mean, I know that I was really focused on the takeoff before the race, so that we didn't all get stacked up going into one, because I know it could be a mess down there in one on the first lap. So I'm glad that everybody, for the most part, kept their cool and we made it through there. I mean, the battle was great. I know that somebody was ahead of us in AM, but I'm not sure what happened there. But when Kevin and I were battling, we like the front of the pack just checked out.
Yeah, I mean that's typically what happens. You start losing time, and you got to focus on the cars around you. So hey, great, incredible race for you. Another win on the season. Who helped get you here? Who do you want to thank?
Just thank Colin McKenzie. He does my paint. He's the guy who has the fabulous paint jobs, and just CSS provides my setups, and just Fanatec and anybody who's or putting in money into this lovely thing that we all do.
Yeah, it's definitely a great show and definitely a great looking car. We complimented it a couple times on the broadcast. So, hey, congratulations on another win, and we'll see you back here next week.
Thanks.
That's David Bush, the AM winner from tonight's race. And Mike, what an incredible show that we had tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's just listen, I'm a little bit biased here because this is one of my favorite road courses, like on the service. But these guys put on such an incredible show tonight, and especially just like such it was so exciting from from the drop of the flag all the way to the checkered. I mean, just wow, not much to say. Just wow.
Yeah, I mean, all you can really say is wow. Charlie, does Twitch chat have any final words for us?
I don't care about them. I'll give you my final thoughts. How about that?
Yeah, that works just as good.
I just want to say, guys, I think one of the things I love about this series is how, we can watch the battle for P1, which is always exciting, but it's amazing that we can go back to P6, P7, and still have some of the greatest, most entertaining battles. I mean, it just goes to show how awesome all these drivers are and how great this series and setup is. I cannot wait for next week. Totally looking forward to it.
We have a week off next week.
Oh man.
Yeah, next week we got the holiday weekend here in the States,
right.
so we will have the week off once again next week, but in 2 weeks we come back to the streets of Belle Isle. And by the way, I've been informed from the unofficial point standings after tonight's race. P3 through P9 in the points, separated by 8 points.
Ooh.
P3
exciting.
through P10, 13 points. P3 through P7, separated by 4 points.
Yeah, folks. I mean, you're gonna want to tune in next week. I mean, Chad won't be here, but I'll be here with Josh. No, not next week. 2 weeks from now when we go to Belle Isle, because hell, if this is true, like we have some real battles coming on for the points. I mean, you're not gonna want to miss this, folks.
Yeah, it's called the Motor City Mayhem for a reason, and it's going to be mayhem on the streets of Belle Isle. But that wraps things up here from the Arcade Designs Grand Prix. For Mike Berry, for Charlie Daniels, and our lovely producer, Victor Vallee, as well as everybody behind the scenes here at the Nitro Circus Sports Car Challenge presented by Penguin RC. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you in 2 weeks' time. Actually, we'll see you Wednesday night. You know what? We had to look forward to Rallycross before anything else. So thanks for joining us here for the Penguin RC Sports Car Challenge. Tune in Wednesday night, same time, same place, for some great Rallycross action.